TheMadQueen. Welcome into the Queen's Lair. I'm actually going to be combining my two other tier lists that I've made previously. If you don't know, I did make one where I rated all the Triple S heroes in the game, and then I made another where I rated all of the epic heroes in the game. So I want you guys to see how I kind of combine these together to make one tier list. I did have quite a bit of fuss over the epic tier list that I made. I'm not really sure why, because I did let people know that you weren't going to be able to bring everybody directly from that list over and combine it with all of the Triple S heroes in the game. Something I need you to consider is, first of all, what I've placed at the very top of the page, because this is not only going to be able to be viewed in a video form like you're watching it. I also put this in my Discord community, and also I will be sharing this in the official Discord community as well for Eternal Evolution. This tier list is made on the premise of what is normal or achievable by the average player and is not based on only in-game play. This is very important because a lot of people aren't realizing when they are viewing or looking at tier lists that those heroes are being placed and rated by in-game players for other in-game players. That's really important to think about and try to take notice whenever you are looking at tier lists. I know not everybody is going to share that because a lot of people just like to think that, oh, the in-game tier list is the only tier list we need. Most of the people that play this game are newer or mid-game players, so it's not something that's achievable by most of the people playing this game. I personally do not think that a hero is top tier if they're only good when they've had a lot of ascensions, they're super leveled, and you have extremely in-game gear. There are a lot of cases where you're going to see tier lists with heroes placed in the top tier because of that specifically. So I want you to keep that in mind while I'm going through mine and while I'm also explaining this. This is for the average player, in-game players, mid-game, and beginning game players. It's not just on the premise of late to in-game. I have every single hero in the game, and over half of the heroes that I do have are in the immortal status. I've been able to test and play every single one of these heroes. That's why it has taken me a bit of time, of course, to come out with my tier list. I've been playing the game for over 8 months at this point. I'm not somebody that likes to start a game and immediately make a tier list because, of course, that can really backfire and hurt a lot of people if I'm just putting that out there in general. So I'm going to share my 2 tier lists, and then I'm going to share with you the combined tier list where I have all of the heroes together on one. So first, this was my elite. Actually, why did I have elite? Epic. It's probably because I used the same kind of thing to make my tier list for another game, and there's elite heroes there. But anyways, epic. These are all epic heroes. And I put Falvia up in the S+ tier, and I had a little bit of pullback or pushback from that. I'm not really sure why. I honestly will still stand by the fact that I think Falvia is one of the best epic heroes, epic heroes in the entire game. And then for the Triple S tier list I have, you can see it here. What I was trying to explain is that the two of them don't necessarily mesh exactly together. So this is my overall tier list. There are definitely probably going to be some pushback from this specifically. That's okay. I am an open book. I'm willing to have a conversation about why you think I'm wrong, and that is totally okay. As you can see, in the top tier, I have Leo and Crete for tanks. Damage dealers are Luke, Emma, Bailey, Hudson, and Daniel. And then supports are going to be Serena, Mazrani, and Rez. in my opinion, these are all top tier heroes. And I will say with Emma, I did have to think twice about putting her in the very top because she doesn't necessarily need in-game gear to be really, really good. But the gear that she does need to actually perform at an S plus tier rating, I guess I should say, she does need some really good gear in general. So I did go ahead and put her in the S plus tier because she doesn't need any crit rate or crit damage. You only need to build her with straight attack as well as with Luke. And then, of course, Leo can do a bit of damage as well. It's kind of hard to place him because he's in between a tank and a damage dealer. So I went ahead and just put him under tanks. But you do know from me telling you, or if you've used him, you can also use him to help you do some damage. In the S tier, I have Oak, Boar, and Zadia or Zadia. I never know if I'm saying her name right. I have Falvia, Sorietta, Taylor, Nautilus, Skewer and Hattie, Ravina, Anpu, I don't know, and Boda. Boda would be an S plus tier hero if she was able to do her ultimate ability. I'm sorry, if she was able to proc the shield that she's able to give, that also gives energy more than once. She can only do that one time. For that reason only, I've placed her in the S tier. She is a really good hero though. And I get it, being able to do it a bunch of times is kind of a little OP, but personally, it would be nice if she could do it. I would say twice. If they would boost it and make it 2 times per, then I think she would be S plus. But I do have Nautilus in the S tier, Skewer and Hattie in the S tier. A lot of people put them in the S plus tier. These are both heroes that need a really specific build and honestly in-game gear for them to perform at this level or at the S plus level. So to have honestly pretty average gear for the most part, they do work well, but that's why I have placed them overall in the S tier. In the A tier, you can see I have Hercules, Botmark II, Omar, Sinway, Kalaza, Kane, Nagrama, Azina. Then I have Owiza, Hypnos, and Ruda. I will say for Owiza, I did go back and forth. She can be used as either a support or a tank because she now has the ability to do an AoE stun and stun a ton of heroes at once on the enemy team. It was really close for me for putting her in the S tier. A couple months ago, she was in the so close tier because she was really bad, but she did get an update. It hasn't been super recent. It's been over the last couple of months. But with that update, it gave her everything she needed to climb up a bit. If you have the right gear for Owiza, I would put her in the S tier, not specifically because of PvE content necessarily, but for PvP. If you don't know, Owiza can be a monster in PvP if you do have her with the right build. I will say I always get a lot of hate as well for Sinway and how I rate him, because I do have Sinway in the A tier. I know there are quite a few people that disagree with this, and that's okay. But I'm still going to keep him kind of towards the middle. Don't get me wrong, it is nice that a lot of us had the opportunity to make an immortal Sinway and have him fully immortal. But for him to really perform at a higher level than this, he needs quite a few stats within his gear, and just in general, I'm not saying he's bad. Just because he's in the A tier does not mean he's bad. I use Omar, Botmark II all the time. I use Kane all the time. Kalaza, Azina. These people that are in the A tier still do have really good uses within the game, but they are not performing as well as the heroes above them in the tier list. So keep that in mind as well. Sinway is a good hero, but looking at the heroes above him, those, in my opinion, are much better than he is. So, I know I'll probably have somebody say something about that, but that's okay, as long as we are doing it in a positive way, of course. And then in the B tier, I have Artis, Qite, Guan Yu, Rakana, Muka, Randall, Prigger, and Morami. So Prigger and Morami have the opportunity to be higher in this tier list as well. The only thing is you have to have both of them, and you have to have really good gear on both of them as well. Separately, they're not going to be rated, you know, in the S plus tier or in the S tier, possibly in the A tier. Together with in-game gear on, you could see them in the S tier, but that is not viable for most people or the average player. Not everyone is going to have both copies of them with both of them super leveled and super ascended. So it doesn't make sense to me personally to recommend this to people that are or haven't been playing the game that long. I don't want people to look at my tier list and think, oh, you know, because generally the ones at the top are the ones you are thinking, I should prioritize these guys, I should build these guys out, I should work on these guys at a first glance. And that is how it should be. I'm not going to put, for instance, Skewer and Hattie in the S plus tier because they are really good in the places they are good, but they don't have a ton of places overall they can be used. That's something else I like to look at, is how versatile they are. Not only are they good in one place, but can you use them in a lot of places? Because resources can be hard to come by. It takes quite a bit of time to get to the point where you have a lot of heroes that are super ascended and that are super leveled with a lot of runes, or, you know, whatever the case may be. So I want people to look at this and know whenever they see this, these are the heroes that they should be shooting for. And honestly, as far as Nautilus goes too, I know I'm jumping around a bit. Nautilus is an excellent hero, and I honestly thought about putting him in the A tier as well. I did decide not to, and that's just because of the amount of gear he needs, well, you know, for him to be good. So, as far as Rakana, this is also probably going to be... Rakana is okay. You can use Rakana. Its ability to be able to go into the back line is really nice, but this hero is not going to be any higher in the tier list unless they have in-game gear on. If you do have in-game gear on Rakana, you could possibly see him in the A or the S tier. So that's also something to mention. Lastly, in the so close category, that's just me trying to be nice. I don't think that you need 20 different categories whenever you're rating heroes. I think, you know, it's either they're really good, okay, usable, please don't use them, basically. So I think it just gets complicated if you put way too many tiers in your tier list. But I have Langel, Carmal, Xander, Ornn, Murphyro, Polanu, and Lyran. There are going to be cases where you're seeing people are farming stage 15 with a Carmal or an Ornn or a Murphyro. The thing with that is those people are probably very, very free to play, or they aren't logging in as every day and doing the free summons or doing all of the events or whatnot, so they have a limited choice on their heroes. To be able to make those guys do stage 15 in dungeon content is really, really difficult. And honestly, if you're able to make that happen, props to you, because like I said, it is very difficult. And Lyran, he desperately, desperately needs a buff. I wish they would give him a buff, because I get a lot of people in my Discord that like to say, you know, use Lyran. He's one of the good ones that you should be using a lot. and I get an instant headache because that's not the case. I wish it was. You can use Lyran when you get him in the beginning of the game, much like Karma or Murphyro or whatever the case may be with these other heroes, Langel. But in general, Lyran is not good. I wish he was better. You could try to use him for some CC as well as healing, but again, it's just very underwhelming. There are other heroes in general that can do it better than he can. And lastly, I want to mention about Anruda. Anruda can be higher than the A tier, but that's only going to be if you can put in the maximum amount of resources possible into him. He is an excellent hero. He just takes a lot for him to be excellent. Let me know if you guys have any questions or comments about anything I've said, all of your opinions, feelings. I'm more than happy to continue this conversation with you guys. Also, if you're a new player or an experienced player, join my growing Discord community. It's an excellent place for beginners to ask for advice and experts to give advice. The link for that is going to be in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.